Business Building Live. It's been a minute since we've got on here, but we're planning on going live every morning with a quick show, nothing crazy, nothing long. I think we've talked about, doing something more 20-minute-ish area and having a quick lineup, some things to talk about. The goal of this show is to always give you a tip of the day, something that's actionable, something that you can, go ahead and use right away, right? Go out and apply it to your business so that you can get results. And that's really the goal. So everything else is kind of fill in. We do want to talk about, news, current news and events that are going on in the marketing world, things that are happening that you may or may not be aware of, and then kind of discuss those things, as well as, take in phone calls. Anybody can call into the show. I don't know the number for that show, but we'll get it to you before we hop right in. Somebody's getting me the number now. So we welcome your call-ins, guys. If you have marketing troubles, challenges, things that are going on, call into the show, and we'd be more than happy to discuss it and hopefully point you in the right direction so that you can kind of get unstuck if you need to. The phone number is 774-232-4667. Write that down. Make a note of it. So in the future, it's 774-232-4667. So write that down. You can call in and you can speak with us live here on the show. So Adam, how's it going today?
What's going on, Keith? How are you?
I'm doing great. Anything good going on?
So I'm looking at the marketing news of the day. What do you want to start off with yours or?
Yeah, I was just wondering how you're doing.
I'm doing good.
Yeah, Adam and I just got back from a trip to the West Coast,
Nice.
Arizona, California. It was very fun.
I'm missing that weather right now.
Me too. It's like 35, 40 degrees here in Massachusetts. So we'll be planning another trip soon.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, excuse me, let's talk about the marketing tip of the day. Okay. So we're going to be giving you a tip every day. We're not going to go crazy with tips. We want to kind of, stretch the tips out so that you can get value every day. So today we're going to talk about something called the Google Search Console. Okay. So, if you're watching and you're not sure what that is, it used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. It was a software that Google created to basically allow people who manage websites to get better insight into the website, get the domain name itself indexed in the search engine. And so I want to talk about Google Search Console. Now, very important, at the end of this, we're going to put a link in the comments for you where you can go and it will show you how to get your business in the Google Search Console if you don't have it in there yet, okay? So Google Search Console, what is it, right? So let's go to my computer and let me just bring this over here so I can show you a couple things real quick. Go to scene 2 and then pull up my browser. Okay, so right over here, Google says Google Search Console is a web service by Google, which allows webmasters to check indexing status and optimize visibility of their website. So if you're not a webmaster and you have a webmaster, your webmaster probably would have done this if you're in, this is not something that every webmaster is going to do right out of the gate, right? Because once you get into setting up this sort of tracking, you're really getting into extensive work that, it's not like they just throw it in the Google Search Console. In our mind, there's a lot of other things we do after that, which is part of our local search package, that we get you indexed and then we just take it all the way down the line. So it may be something that your webmaster may have done or may not have done, but you can check it. And I'm going to show you how to do a quick search in Google using a special command code that allows you to check any website and actually see how many pages are indexed in Google. Pretty cool. So you can see if you have 5 pages, 10 pages, 100 pages that Google, and when I say indexed in Google, what does that mean, right? That means that when a website is published to the web, Google's crawling the web trying to find new websites, right? If your website's built on a platform that's not great or certain things weren't done on the website, Google might not pick it up, might not put it in the index. If it's not in the index, you're not going to come up in Google, right? Because when people are searching, you've got to be in the index in order for Google to consider showing your website in the search results. Hope that makes sense. So until May 20th, 2015, the service was called Google Webmaster Tools. And then in January of 2018, they introduced a new version of the Search Console with some changes to the interface. So that's kind of what Google Search Console is. So if you're not familiar, now you are. Now, the question is, are you in the Google Search Index or not, right? So this is good for you to, if you have, I always like you hear me say this a lot. If you have friends that are in business, by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, subscribe, right? Go down. It's the best thing you can do for the channel. Subscribe and then share the channel on your page or on your social media with friends who might own businesses. But you're going to hear me say a lot, if you have friends that own a business, take these pieces of nuggets back to them, help them out, right? I mean, if you have a close friend, that might be at their house or at their office, say, hey, is your website indexed in Google, So here's how you check that. So you're going to go to Google, and in the Google search bar, you're going to type in site, so SITE, colon, that's the 2 dots, www dot, and then whatever your domain name is, okay? So if I want to go in and check, let's just say facebook.com. Man, overcoming a cold, not COVID, I've been tested. So we've got 1,980,000, actually, sorry, let me back that up. 1,980,000,000 results in Google. Okay. That's how many pages Facebook has on their server, in their website that are actually indexed inside of Google. Okay. Pretty cool. Which means, and here's a quick tip, posting on Facebook on your page and putting links to your website helps out your search engine ranking. Okay. Especially when people interact with that on Facebook and they comment and Google's picking up social signals and they can tell. So it's not a bad place to have a backlink from one of the websites that has almost 2 billion pages indexed. Okay. YouTube, same thing. So, that's Facebook. Let's just go over and we'll go speedmobi.com. Okay. So we've got 29 results in the search engine, right? And we can see here, excuse me, this is our website. Okay, this is our homepage. SpeedMobi website, design platform, blog, e-commerce, and it gets truncated at about 55 characters. Okay, so we have more in there, but it's getting cut off. And then down here, this is our description. Okay, so why is this important, guys? Number one, this is what shows up in the search engine when people search for you. Okay, so in your website builder, or if you don't have a website builder and you have a website person that takes care of it, there's going to be a spot for every single page on your website to have 3 things, okay? 3 things. Number one, a title, right? The title is the most important aspect of search engine optimization. If your title has the right keyword phrase that you're trying to optimize for, and where's the title? The title's right here, okay? See this right here? That's the title of the page. So in our website builder, we wrote that in there, right? We're writing in here what we offer, what we are, and we're hoping to do 2 things. Number one, attract the attention of Google, and they say, website design platform, blog, e-commerce. Hopefully those words help us. Now, our growth strategy never included SEO, right? It just didn't, and doesn't always have to, right? We had ways that we were growing, and we focused and went all in on those. But this is the title. So when you're writing a title, you're writing it for the search engine. And number 2, you're writing it as a headline, right? You want to try to get somebody to click that link, because the reality is your link might be 4 links down, but it has a better title than a competitor, and the person clicks that. And if that happens enough, you know what Google does? They move it up. They'll move the listing up. They're like, everyone's clicking this. Let's move it up and make it easier, okay? So that's the title that shows up in Google. So you want to go into your website builder, make sure all your pages have the right title, and you're not trying to stuff keywords in there. That's not the goal. The goal is just to put a keyword phrase that sums up what type of business you do, so Google knows, hey, these guys are plumbers or electricians or whatever they are, okay? This part down here, interesting, is more of a sales copy. This is like sales copy, right? Because you're trying to talk them into clicking your link. Okay, so 100-year warranty, lifetime guarantee, money back guarantee, licensed, insured, excuse me, bonded, right? All of these things are going to, the things that your customer needs to see to click the link, basically, okay? Now, here's a couple mistakes people make. They stuff keywords in here, right? In what's called the meta description. So there's the title, the meta description, those are the 2. And then the third one is meta keywords. Now, you can't see those here, but if you go to the page and you inspect it, you can check them out. But in your website builder, you're going to have a spot for meta keywords. You don't want to stuff a ton of keywords in here, guys. Google has basically said they don't look at it anymore. They're not looking at the meta keywords because so many people went in and started stuffing keywords in there, and it bloated the web, right? Bloated the web. Literally, they'd have so many characters stuffed in all these pages that it started to bloat the web. And think about it, with billions and billions, maybe even trillions of pages indexed at this point in Google, They don't want all those extra characters. So if for any of you out there that have done this, don't do it. If you did it to your website, go back and trim the meta descriptions out of that meta description area. Okay. So those don't show, but those are the 3 areas of technical SEO as far as how it shows up in the search engines. And you want to make sure that you're optimizing this. Okay. You want to make sure. And a good way to see what your pages are showing right now is just to use this command, right? Go in, put site:/www. And then put your domain name, and then you can see all your pages. Go through them, optimize them, whatever you want to do.
Isn't it good to change like the title and things like that too on the like pictures you have on your site?
Yeah, the title, that's a good point. Like your titles on every page should be unique, right? And so should your description, and so should your keyword meta descriptions. So everything should be unique. A lot of people will do is they'll stuff, like if you have let's say you offer 3 things: blue widgets, yellow widgets, and red widgets, right? Just to be whatever. If you're trying to stuff everything about all of that into one page, it doesn't make any sense. Talk about the blue widgets on the blue widget page, right? Write the title up top based on keyword research, which we're going to talk more about as we move forward here. That's on our list of things to discuss. But once you know the right keyword phrases, you know the volume of those keywords, meaning they're being searched for a lot, then you can go in and write a good title with that main phrase in there so that Google goes, hey. You know, I always tell the story about the guy who came over from another company. We just rebuilt the site, put it live. He saved money. He was good. He didn't do anything other than that. We always keep the SEO exactly the same unless somebody comes into an SEO program. We're not going to start changing things at will. So he came in, and a few weeks after he'd come on board, he calls, and he was getting calls from mold removal. And you guys have probably heard this, but it sticks with me because there was nothing on the website that said anything about mold removal. The only spot was up in the title up here. Whoever built the website before, for some reason, put mold removal in the back end SEO, and that was bringing in calls for mold removal. Like, how much more do you need to know to say, hey, maybe I should put the right keyword in this place because it's so important that Google would actually send traffic to a website that didn't do mold removal because of one signal up in the title. Very important. Digest that, okay? So that's basically, the lesson for the day. The tip of the day is go check to see if you are indexed. If you're not indexed, you're going to go over to the Google Search Console, which looks something like this right here, search.google.com. And you're going to go in and you're going to put your URL into the Search Console. Now, we're going to put a link down in the comments for you with a instructional video that walks you through how to do it. We already have a video that's been made. We'll share that with you, and it will show you how to get your website indexed into the Google Search Console. Okay, very big step. Like, we're starting kind of here because it's a big step. It's like the beginning. If you're like, I need traffic from Google, but you're not in the index, you're never going to get traffic from Google, right? It's not going to happen. So that's the Google Search Console. Very important first step. And then from there, you're going to get a bunch of great data, by the way. So once you are in there and even if you are indexed in Google, you still want to put yourself in the Search Console. So let's make that clear. If you go and you do site www and you see that you're there, but you don't know if you're in the Search Console or not, you want to be in the Search Console because that system that Google has is feeding data back to you. It's giving you data about who's coming to your site, what words are they searching for, how frequently is this happening. There's a lot of good data that comes in. Plus, another good part of being in the Search Console is bad links and good links. So anybody that links back to your website can be good or bad. So if a good high, Jesus. I wonder if that comes on to the actual live stream. Okay, yeah, bring him on.
Oh, Mike. Is that Mike?
Is Mike on? We got to call in. That's how we do it. You just call in. Boom.
Mike.
Yes.
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Not much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Awesome. Yes, I can.
What's
Mike,
going on,
it's
brother?
Keith. How are you?
Good. Appreciate you guys taking my call today.
You got
Absolutely.
it. What's
Absolutely.
going on?
So here's the thing.
Hey, I got it.
Yeah, go ahead. If you have a question for us, that's great. We'd love to be able to entertain it.
Yeah, I got a quick question. So I'm a Boston area real estate agent, and I'm currently working on creating a marketing strategy for my business. And I just wanted to chat with you guys and see how important it is to have a complete marketing plan in place to get business, to be able to connect with your clients that you already have, and then also prospect for future business down the line. I know you guys have been working on that, so I just wanted to chat with you and get your thoughts.
Cool. That's actually a great question. You know, it brings up a few thoughts in my mind when you ask that, because, you know, a lot of times when we're learning about marketing funnels and sales funnels, we learn about lead opt-in pages, right? Lead magnets. And we learn that we have to give away free value, right, to get them on our email list. And then we have like this follow-up automation process where most of the money comes from, right? Which most people don't realize that, you know? Yeah, go ahead.
Right. And I see that like in my business, the way when I do well and when I have transactions and when I make money, it's usually not on the first click or the first connection. It's usually 3 to 6 to even 12 months down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, and certain industries are like that, right? Like, you know, mortgages and real estate. It's like, you know, if I need a plumber, I need a plumber, right? I got water all over the place. I got to get a plumber. But when it comes to decisions like, you know, even insurances, like things like that, the life cycle, the buy cycle is usually longer. And so it becomes even more important to have follow-up in place for things where, you know, like, you know, this person could come into my world and buy a house 1.5 years later, right? Or come for financing or, you know, need a real estate agent. So
that's why I love working with real estate agents too, is because there's like so much content, especially if people are buying their first property for the first time. There's so much stuff you can put out there, teach them, and just, you know, you're always going to be in the back of their mind because you taught them this, you taught them that. So there's so much different information you can, you know, set out to them.
Yeah, it's a great industry for them too, because, you know, it's an industry where they make some revenue, right? Especially if they're working with higher net worth, you know, they're doing $1 million homes or whatever. So to answer the question, you know, at the end of the day, I would, you know, there's two parts to this, because you don't want to like go into it full-fledged, start running ads to a lead magnet, get people to start opting in, and then they go cold, right? So, you know, it's okay to do a test on a lead magnet to see, hey, is this appeal that I'm going after? Is this something that people are willing to give me their information for? That's cool. But you got to remember, at that point, after the test is done, if there's no follow-up, like Mike said, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10, it could be, you know, even more than that, right? Without that follow-up content in place, you're not going to get the long-term results. Now, the question that always comes up is, well, what should that content be? Right? Because it's like, well, what do I talk about? You know, and most of the stuff we see in the real estate and mortgage industry is like these companies that create a bunch of bulk content, you know, how to put your blinds up the right way in your house, right? Like, you know, all these things that people may or may not even care about. The reality is it's getting inside of the mind of the person that you're selling to. It's the absolute biggest thing. I mean, I remember when I started studying copywriting 15 years ago, like I remember a guy named Dan Kennedy, who I think he's still alive. He almost died recently, but he's still alive. Very, very talented copywriter and salesman. And he said, in order to write copy or in order to communicate with your audience, you have to think about the things that keep them up at night, right? You've got to think about the things, and he explained it like acid reflux bubbling up in their throat at night, just the things they're most concerned with, the things they're most worried about, right? And so when you enter that conversation that's going on in their mind, it's magical, because they're like, wow, this person gets it, right? You know, if somebody's buying a home, what's one of the biggest, Mike, I'll ask you, what's one of the biggest challenges or concerns that they have in their mind when they're going to buy a piece of real estate? Like, what's something that most people are worried about, concerned with, you know, that kind of gets in the way of them being able to make progress or, you know, slows down their decision-making process?
Sure. There's really 3 things that I see all the time. One is obviously being able to pay a down payment, whether they're going through different avenues of financing. It's usually some sort of financing issue, then analysis paralysis, where people look at several homes and then they get into a position where they don't really know which one they want, or they don't know what kind of kitchen they want or how much backyard space they need. And then the other one would be the fear of, like, say with a home inspection, the fear of buying something that they shouldn't have bought. Those are really the 3 things that I see on a regular basis. And I obviously try to coach my clients through those issues and support them with my knowledge and my network. But I really see those 3 being some of the biggest ones that come up, especially in today's world where people have to move quickly on stuff, or they'll lose out on it just because the market's so hot.
Yeah, especially around here. I know the inventory is like low right now. So that's great. So now let's take one of those things. Let's say the money thing, right? And I know that's not everybody's going after people with no money. So I'm just going to use this as an example though. And this is one that I've shared with clients and they've used it and they've been successful. So around here, we have something called the USDA, right? And you're probably familiar with that, where, you know, it's zero money down in rural areas, or whatever the case. So But that's really, and I don't know if it is now, but back when the mortgage market crashed back in 2008, that was one of the, after the fact and that all cleared, that was one of the only places you could get no money down financing, right? So knowing that, and knowing that a concern for some people is money down, and you don't have to go with the no money down route. It could be another angle into cash down payments, whether it's hard money lenders.
Usually we see like 3.5% FHA for a first-time home buyer is the most common.
Yep.
But 3.5% in Boston could be on $600,000 home. It's a lot of money. It's not like I'm actually in Florida right now. 3.5% on a home in Florida is a totally different ball game than it is in Massachusetts.
That's for sure.
AZ was like that too.
Yep. AZ is a good area as far as appreciation goes. So, so now let's say that I put an ad out, right? And let's say that I had some follow-up content to go with it. But let's say that my market was somebody that wanted to buy a house with no money down. I'm not saying that that's you, but just to give you an idea of how to get inside their mind. If I say to you, hey, welcome to this video. My name's Keith. If you're looking to buy a house right now, you may be concerned about down payment, right? And I wanted to share with you, I made a special presentation that shares with you the only place in the country right now that you can buy a house with zero money down. Right now, again, that's USDA. We don't tell them that, right? Because we have a presentation that explains that. But the point is, if the market is looking to buy a house with no money down, and we might even say, you know, you have to have good credit, right? This isn't for somebody without a job, right? But at the end of the day, if you do have, if everything's lining up for you to buy a house, but you're missing that one thing, I'm here to tell you there's a place you can go, and I'm going to share it with you. So now you bring them into your world. It could be on your end. It could be a down payment assistance program. You know, it could be something, you know. Another perfect example is people wanting to buy stuff that don't have the money, PayPal credit, right? You're starting to see Klarna come up, Klarna and these other ones that you can pay over time, right? That's just an example of them addressing a concern and then putting in a solution to help them move forward, eliminate the block of moving forward, right? It could be, you know, the home inspection route, right? Making content around, and again, here's the cool part. This type of content that we're talking about is perfect retargeting content, guys. Okay. You know, we say, hey, how do you retarget somebody? You retarget them by overcoming objections, right? Smashing the myths, right? The misconceptions. Every business has these things in their business where people are misconceived. Oh, I thought this. No, that's not true. Oh, I thought that. No, that's not true. All the content that you're going to make in your follow-up is going to be content that helps them overcome an objection one at a time, right? You know, hey, you know, if you're here, if you're watching this right now, you're looking to buy a home, you're probably concerned with having to put down $50,000, right? You know, you're thinking about, you know, parents bought a home, 20% down. I want a house for $1 million. That's $200,000. How am I going to do that? Right? Well, I'm here to tell you today that that's not the case. And I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can get the, you know, and then you go into your content. So you're grabbing the attention, you're calling out to that thing that's in their mind. Right. You know, it's almost like the food truck campaign. You know, think about this. We have a food truck guy and we ran a bunch of retargeting ads, but this is one that really kind of hits me because I came up with it. But no. But I said to myself, people going to hire a food truck probably think the truck is gross, right? It's just a natural thing. Like, oh, it's a food truck. They're going to come feed my guests. Like, that's gross. So we said to the owner of the business, hey, make a video. And he has a beautiful commercial kit. I mean, this thing is like stainless steel, things like you could eat off the floor. So we said, hey, go make a video and just let's try it. We don't know what's going to happen until we do it, right? We make a hypothesis. Go make a video, show them the inside of this commercial truck, how beautiful it is. And I bet you if we retarget people that left your site without wanting to talk to you, I bet you will get a good percentage of those people to come back, fill out a form, or call you. And sure enough, it did. It's one of the best performing retargeting ads we have right now. And the beautiful part about that ad, it's evergreen. It's evergreen. It doesn't change. They're always going to be worried about a food truck being gross inside, right? And so that ad is now going to run to all the people that leave his website, and it's going to help them overcome that objection if that's what was holding them back, right? And then other ads that overcome other things that they're worried about. And again, it's just, I would say myself over the last 15, 20 years, especially the last 10, heavily involved in marketing, my mind, I spend more time thinking about the customer, their thoughts, the process they're going through, the challenges. I'm always in the mind of the prospect. I can't explain it. Driving down the road, like even if it's a client's account, you know, and I'm thinking about their prospect, I'm always, that's where my mind spends the most time. If that's helpful to anybody, you know, like I don't never know how to explain it. Like sitting down with a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning, thinking about your business, you know, only business owners know what that's like, you know, but most of your time should be spent on thinking about the customer, what challenges, what hurdles, what misconceptions, what fears do they have that I can help them overcome. And then as you compile all of that content, then you can go back and say, hey, let's start driving them in with bait, right? If we're going fishing, we have bait, right? So bass like certain fish. So we use the right bait. You'll find this funny, Mike. When I first started, I did mortgages for about 8 years. I started back in like 1999. The market just got progressively better. Like rates were like 9.5 conventionally back then. And I ran an ad, okay? And I think this was the detriment of my mortgage career, right? I ran an ad. I thought I was so creative, dude. I ran this ad. I'm like, oh, this is going to do killer. And I ran it and I spent money. And it was like bad credit, no credit, foreclosure. Don't worry about it. If you have a heartbeat, call us. We'll help you. You know what I mean? And I was young at this point. You know, I was in my, I think I was still 19 years old. And I was in this position where I didn't know what I was doing, you know, but I knew that I had banks coming in all day saying, hey, we can do this, we can do that. So I made this ad and it literally pigeonholed me into, I became subprime Keith, right? You know, 228s and 330, 327s and, you know, all this stuff. So it's a good lesson to learn from my mistake. And I learned it the hard way is I should have been running ads saying, hey, if you're buying $1 million properties, I'm your guy, right? I got the lenders for that. I got the lenders to help you get the best rates. I did it wrong. So if anybody learns anything from this, you know, when you call out to a certain market, be prepared to serve that market, right? Another good example.
Like partner with a lender or a lending firm and just be like, hey guys, like, I handle the real estate stuff. They handle the mortgage stuff. If you have questions about this or if this is a pain point, we're here to help, and then we can service them and obviously get them as a contact and be able to follow up with them and make sure that everything that they're doing is taken care of and we're able to answer any questions that come up. I like that.
Yeah, and I'll give you the one thing I think about with your business is you know, you're positioning yourself as somebody that is helping people. People are buying more expensive properties, right? Are you working with like higher home values?
Yeah, I'm anywhere between 500 to a couple million for sure.
Okay. Yep. So, I mean, and that's the thing, like, you know, that's a different market, right? So that even goes into the psyche of, you know, who are we talking to? There's actually a book, I don't know the name of it, like Selling to the Affluent, because selling to the affluent's different. You know, the things that they care about are just completely different. And I think
totally different.
I think Dan Kennedy might have wrote that book. He wrote a book on selling to the affluent, actually. Yeah, just different mindset, you know? So, you know, at the end of the day, it's, and here's the one thing too, it was in my mind and I just thought of it. Advertising strategy, right? Like if some people have asked me, hey, what would you do if you went into real estate and you were going to sell real estate? What would you do? Right? The number one thing I would do is separate myself from the pack. Right? Like I'm not like, there's different types of people in real estate, right? There's like the buyer agent who sits around and waits for stuff to get posted on MLS and then goes and tries and sells everybody's property, right? They don't have anything to sell, right? Nothing wrong with that. That's one type of an agent, right? Then there's the agent who's out there trying to find listings, right? And then, you know, he's obviously in more control because now he has something to sell. You can't have a business with nothing to sell, right? So buyer's agents are like affiliate marketers, right? They're selling other people's products, you know, and then you've got the sellers, listing agents. But here's the thing. If I come into your home and I sit down from pure marketing perspective and I'm like, hey, listen, you know, at the end of the day, you're looking at me, you're buying $1 million house. You're wondering, why should I trust this guy? Why should I use you? There's a million real estate agents out there, right? Well, the answer is really simple. Most real estate agents out there have a specific process that they do when they list a property. This is what they do. They post it on MLS, they cross their fingers, and they hold their breath. And they wait for people to sell the property for them. Yep. Right? That's not what I do. In fact, I have a 7-point marketing plan that we use right out of the gate. As soon as this listing agreement is okayed by you and your husband, we're going to get forward. My team is going to start working on your marketing plan for you. Okay. And that plan consists of, and then you walk them through it. And guess what? It's your plan, right? You just took a commodity, right? Rice, right? Toilet paper. You took a commodity, a real estate agent, which I know you're not a commodity, but you know, mortgage brokers, like, what's your rate? What's your fee? What's your fee to sell it? You know, you just took
I would go out and say that a good real estate agent is a commodity.
Yeah, maybe. Explain that.
I feel obviously in real estate there's a low barrier to entry where real estate agents essentially just have to get their license by taking a 40-hour course and passing a test. There's a lot of people out there that have sunk significant time, energy, money into courses, training, marketing, strategy, reading all the material that needs to be read, connecting with the top players all over the country. Like there's levels to it. There really is. And I think a really good real estate agent is a commodity, especially when we get into markets where stuff is not just flying off the shelf. It's a little bit harder to sell, which I think we're going to start seeing in the next 12 months, just because everything has been so hot, especially in my market in the Massachusetts area. But when you start to get stuff that's not moving and not selling, it's important to have a really good real estate agent with good marketing, with good photographer, cameraman, video, with good network of plumbers, painters, electricians, and stuff like that, where anything that comes up can be handled quickly and become a non-issue so that the transaction can be moving forward. I do believe that that's a commodity.
Okay, I understand that. I guess where I'm coming from is like if I'm buying rice, right? Like I look at a commodity as like rice, right? Like rice is a commodity because I mean, I'm buying rice. Like what's your cheapest price on rice, right? Sugar is a commodity, even though the U.S. pays like 2.5 times for sugar than any other country in the world. But that's another story. But you know, that I look at that as a commodity, right? It's like, dude, just how much are you going to sell me your rice for? It's white rice, right? And so my thing is like, how do we differentiate ourselves? And the biggest way, and I'll even give you a good lead magnet. If you made a little presentation on the number one question to ask your real estate agent before you actually sign that contract, right? Or before you sign that agreement, the number one question to ask them. Now they're going to want to know, right? Especially if you say, hey, if you're buying a house for over $1 million, this is the number one question you need to ask your real estate agent before you actually sign on the dotted line, right? Enter your name and email right now, and I'm going to share that with you, and I'm going to share my thinking behind it. Right now they come in and they land there, and now you're going into what your strength is, which is your marketing program, and you say, hey, here's the number one question. Tell me in detail how you plan to market and sell my property, Mr. Real Estate Agent. Period. Nothing else matters. I don't care what kind of car he drives or how much. It doesn't. What matters to me is what is the process and the marketing plan to sell my home. And now what you do when you build your own marketing plan is you get to come in and say, hey, here's my marketing strategy. Number one, we create a page for your property on our thing. Number two, we put X amount of money into online and social advertising to drive traffic in. Number three, I happen to have been doing this for a while, so I have custom audiences built on Facebook with tens of thousands of buyers and sellers that I can run ads to right now. That's a whole topic for another day when we'll bring you back on, Mike, and talk about more real estate related because I love it. Yeah,
I love that.
I mean, think about this. Let's say you're running ads, right? You're running ads to, let's just say all over Boston, Cambridge and Norwood and all over in these places. And as you're running these ads, you're bringing buyers into specific landing pages, right? And you're bringing sellers into specific landing pages. So if I have buyers that come in, I have a property in Cambridge and I run an ad and I get, let's just say over the course of a month, I get 5,000 people to check out that property, right? Those 5,000 people can be now put into a custom audience in Facebook, right? That means that the next guy that comes along to sell his house in Cambridge, I can say, hey, buddy, I got 5,000 people in a custom audience right now that we can run an ad to that were looking to buy a house in Cambridge 3 weeks ago. They can only buy one house, right? So you see what I'm saying?
There's a lot of value in that.
Huge value in that. Like, I mean, a marketing company could build an entire business around that one thing. And what would be funny about that is that the more agents that came on, the stronger that machine would get, right? The more data that would be in that machine and the quicker and faster and easier you could sell a property. Because now you got 100,000 people in this one area that have been looking to buy a house. And now instead of just going out to the market cold, you're going back out to people who already showed an interest in buying a home. So I know that's getting off topic, but one question to ask your real estate agent. And then, it's funny because over the years I work with businesses that have changed it up a little bit, right? Photographers that do boudoir photo shoots, pinup photo shoots, or even photographers in general. They charge a flat fee, no pictures included, right? And that's kind of the standard, right? They'll say, well, that's what everybody does. We just charge $600. And I'm like, well, they don't get any pictures though for $600. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. And they're like, well, that's how everybody does it. But I've worked with photographers that flip the script around, right? And then they go out and sell to the market and they're selling against what they used to be. It's funny. They'll go, yeah, well, most photographers, they charge you $600 up front. You don't get pictures. With us, you get 5 edited photographs, right? And it's like, wow, that's a better deal. Right. So sometimes it's like figuring out, maybe I am that guy that just puts it on MLS and hopes and prays. Maybe I do a couple little things, right? A jumping jack, a backflip, but what is the real true marketing plan? And as you create that, it becomes an asset in your business. You give it a name, right? You give that marketing plan a name, because once that marketing plan has a name, I can't get that marketing plan anywhere else. I can't go to Remax. I can't go to Keller Williams, because this guy that I just met has this plan that he's already executed, and it sounds amazing. Right. And it's going to have a fair degree of retargeting marketing, right? You're going to be doing retargeting to people that come in. Maybe you produce a 30-second home video for them, or maybe you involve drone photography, right? Whatever that thing is, you're building it out, and that's the presentation. And to me, if I'm selling my home, I'm like, nobody came with a presentation like this, right? All I care about is how you're going to sell my house. And when you show me proof that you have a system that works, I'm probably going to sign, you know?
It'd be hard for them to say no. I'll tell you that.
I agree. And the hardest part is coming up with the program, right? Like we know what we have to do. And then it's like, we can see, like, if I just had this really sick program and offering, I know I could sign more people. And what happens too, here's the cool thing. Once you do have that, and I'm not saying you don't, but once you have it, like I can position this as something nobody else has, you get more excited to get in front of new people. Right, you're like,
and if you have that system that you can use over and over and over again, it kind of becomes an extension of your brand.
Yep.
And then people are going to know, they're going to hear through the grapevine, and like I said before, it's just, there's so much value in that.
Yep. All your marketing starts to be surrounded around that, right? When you're talking about pieces of content about how some agents are lazy, and it's not, they just don't, or they don't know what to do. Maybe even after you're done coming up with your whole program, you now have the perspective to talk about it and say, the reason why they don't do it, guys, is because it's hard. It wasn't easy.
It's hard. It costs money. It takes time.
Yeah. And people can see that. It makes sense to them. Like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Most agents don't have this because it is hard. It does cost money. It does take time.
Yeah.
But I'm
the
sitting.
value on that too is like 10 times higher if they know,
It's $1 million. Yeah.
It's like, okay, like I want this guy. He's
got
it all together.
And you're positioning, you're picking a position in the market and then going all in on that position. And there's no better position than having a sick marketing system for people to sell houses. And again, that custom audience piece plays a role in that. So, any agents out there, that are listening, or anybody that's listening, is building those audiences of people, like you said, touch them 6, 7, 10 times, but you can go up to 180 days out on Facebook, right? So you can set an audience and say, I want everybody that's landed on this page in the last 180 days, I want to show them an ad. And what's cool is you get them back into your world, and then you renew that 180 days on the new audience, right? So you can keep them going longer. Yeah.
That's amazing. Guys, I have to jump. I definitely appreciate this. So many great nuggets came out of this call. I really, really appreciate you having me on today. I'd love to get on again and chat more real estate specific and talk about different ways that real estate agents can market themselves via video, social media, because I truly believe that's the way that the business is going. So I appreciate it. I got to run, but I thank you for having me on today.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.
All right. See ya. All right, cool. That was good. I'm glad he called in, and we can talk more real estate specific because there's so much to talk about. There were a lot of nuggets right there. Like if somebody's watching this,
that's not even like anybody can kind of apply that. Like,
anybody can apply. It doesn't have to be real estate.
It has to be real estate.
Yeah. And you can apply it in the way of trying to find positioning. How do you position yourself in a market full of all the same thing? And you do it by thinking and putting yourself in the shoes of the person. Yeah. You can't come up with that idea of I'm going to create a killer unless you're thinking. Like I've given so much thought to that. I think about the market and what the market's made up of and who's out there and what they're doing and who the ones that are doing the great things, that they all have a program, of a system, and they're selling that system to the person. And then when they go through the system, then they're getting more referrals because the person's like, wow, you really did fulfill, on the promises. So cool. Guys, by the way, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. YouTube, Facebook,
follow, share.
Yeah, like us, comment. If you have any questions, I'll answer every comment. So if anybody leaves a comment, you're going to get a response from us. Okay. Cool. So before we interrupt, I'm just going to finish up the Google Search Console. That's pretty much was it. I want you to go check it. Make sure you're in here. And then there's going to be other good things that are going to come from this. Too much to talk about today, but it's definitely a key piece of being found online. Okay. So I know it's 10 o'clock here. I know I have a call. I think that's good for today. I have a call at 10. I don't want to be late. It's only a 15-minute call, so I don't want to rob too much time. Yeah, that's it. Remember, you can call in, write the number down, 774-232-4667. That's the call-in number. If you want to call in on the next episode, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have more good information. If you want to call in for the show, let us know ahead of time, and we'll arrange that call-in, okay?
And if you have specific things you want us to touch base to, just leave them in the comments. We'll touch base about them.
Good
Definitely.
point. Thanks for the reminder. That's really one of the big things. Let us know what you guys are struggling with. Let us know what you need help with. Just put it in the comments. Leave it, head off, and then we'll come back and answer that, and you'll get notified. So
For sure.
follow us, subscribe to Business Building Live on YouTube or Facebook. I'm Keith Carpenter.
Adam Kokozinski.